So last month there was a story circulating about a white man who reportedly committed a hate crime against his black neighbor, right? Now here I am a month late. Y'all know I be busy, but better late than never, right? So I go to Google this situation, and whenever I'm making a video where I'm reading from like a news article, my intention is to read from reputable news articles like the New York Times or something, okay? But I will say this, there has not been a lot of motion about this story. If you Google this man's name, okay, so first of all, his name is Charles Allen Barnes. Okay, Google his name. First of all, nothing will probably pop up with just his name, period. But then when you put hate crime after it, it's like there are not a lot of big news companies writing articles about this. There aren't. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to start by reading from the departmentofjustice.org, and I'll put the link to the article thing that I'm reading from. They said this is a press release. This article was written on Tuesday, September 12th, 2023, so I'm actually 2 months late, okay? A Maine man was arrested today on federal charges for sending a threatening voicemail to a neighbor. According to the indictment, Charles Allen Barnes, 47, of Lewiston, allegedly used an interstate communication service to transmit a voice message in which he used racial slurs and stated that he was outside a neighbor's residence and would kill any black person who emerged. Barnes also allegedly chose the neighbor as the object of the offense because of the neighbor's race. Barnes is charged with 1 count of violating the federal interstate threat statute. If convicted, he faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison. After reading that, I don't feel like I was left with a very complete picture of what occurred. You know, like they didn't even say what he said or anything like that, right? So now I'm going to read from the Sun Journal. I don't know how reputable this journal is, but I'm going to be reading from it. A local man was arrested Tuesday on federal charges over a racially charged threatening voicemail about a neighbor, according to a U.S. Department of Justice news release. Charles Allen Barnes, 47, of Lewiston, faces 1 count of violating the federal interstate threat statute for allegedly sending a threatening voice message via an interstate communication service on August 30th, 2022. Barnes allegedly sent the message to a close friend of his neighbor known as DF in court documents. Documents refer to the neighbor, an unarmed 32-year-old black woman, as KT. According to the Department of Justice statement, Barnes allegedly said in the message that he was outside a neighbor's residence and would kill any black person who emerged. Quote, "I've been parked outside KT's apartment since early this expletive morning, sis, waiting for someone to step outside, and the first one who does is going to die, just like that. I don't care if it's her kid or her boyfriend. I don't care. I'm killing me a racial epithet." This article, I feel like, paints a more well-rounded picture of what occurred. So you're telling me that this white man sat outside of an unarmed black woman's house and left a message for his friend talking about, oh, I'm waiting for somebody to step outside, and the first one who does is going to die. Just like that. I don't care if it's her kid or her boyfriend. I don't care. I'm killing me a nigger, because we all know what racial epithet means, right? I feel like that added so much more to the conversation. So, like, why was the first thing that I read not hitting like that? So I went on Google. I'm like, what is the Sun Journal? Because why did they give me all this extra spice that the first, the first thing I read from the Department of Justice did not, So I Googled the Sun Journal. Apparently, this is the newspaper published in Lewiston, Maine, United States, and it covers central and western Maine. So this is the newspaper that is published where this man is from, because recall it said he's from Lewiston, right? So again, what was the Department of Justice doing when they posted their thing and they made it so tame? If you read through the Department of Justice publication, it's kind of like, okay, But then you read through the Sun Journals and it's like, what the fuck? He sat here and said he about to kill a nigger. He don't care if it's her child or whatever. Like, what? Nah, this is my thing. And somebody explain this to me, because I'll tell you right now, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know a lot about the law or nothing like that, but I'm going to just use like a little bit of logic here, and a little bit of, understanding about these things that I do have, right? Okay, so you're telling me that this man was camped outside of this woman's house and he left a voicemail for somebody talking about, yeah, I'm about to kill the first nigger I see come out of here. I don't care if it's her or her boyfriend or her child, whatever, right? Like, somebody explain this to me, because I know there's a difference between like manslaughter and murder. And I believe the difference is, one is premeditated and one happens in the moment. So, like a murder charge is like you sit there and you plan it. Whereas like manslaughter, something happens in a moment, you react, and, the person ends up dead, right? Now, of course, this is not going to be either of those charges, because he did not end up, killing somebody. He got caught before he did, right? But I feel like sitting there and planning to kill somebody and like actually like attempting to carry that out, right? I feel like that should be a little bit deeper than the way that they're painting this. Like, right? Now, this is what I'm not understanding. And let me give y'all a scenario so that we can like really look at this and make it make sense. Now, again, like I said, I'm not no lawyer or nothing. I don't know a whole lot about the law, but I'm going to just look at this logically, right? So let's say that I had beef with somebody at work and I decided, I was like, I'm going to beat this bitch ass, okay? And let's say I planned the whole thing out. Let's say I was like, well, I know what floor of the parking structure she parks on, so I'm going to wait for her at the elevator of that floor. Like, I know she's going to get off on the third floor, so I'm going to wait at the third floor, elevator, and I'm going to run up on her, right? And let's say that I attempted to execute this plan. I attempted to carry it out, right? So let's say after work, I go up to the third floor, and I'm waiting for her to get off the elevator. But for some reason, I am intercepted by the authorities. Let's just say, let's bring it back to, the actual case. Let's say I told somebody about my plan and, maybe it began to spread around the office, or somebody overheard me and called the authorities or whatever, right? So the authorities catch me at the elevator planning to run up on this woman, okay? Don't you think I'm gonna lose my job? Like, don't you think? Because like I made this whole plan and I was clearly about to carry it out, right? Now, on one hand, I'm sure there's a lot of interpretation in the law. Like, I just took my CPL class today and there was a lot of gray areas because, we had these scenarios and the instructor would be like, well, do you think that it was, lawfully acceptable to use deadly force at this point, to pull out your gun and shoot, right? And again, there was a lot of gray areas. It's like, well, maybe you could have this, that. Okay, so I'm sure the law has gray areas in all of these contexts. So maybe you could sit there and argue, well, you never actually got a chance to carry out your plan. You were intercepted before you could. So you didn't really do anything, right? You could sit there and argue that. But at the same time, I had this whole plan and I was sitting there at the spot where it was supposed to go down, clearly waiting for her to get off the elevator. So do you need to wait for me to hit her to say, clearly you was about to hit her and you're going to get fired for that, right? Like, and again, maybe I'm thinking all lawyerish because I just had this CPL class where we was going through these scenarios and it's like, okay, like, do you need to wait for somebody to lunge at you with a knife or pull out their gun and shoot you? Like, if they show you they got a gun and threaten you, right? Do you need to wait for that? Because it's like, technically they didn't like stab you in the neck yet, but clearly they were intending to, right? So maybe that's why I'm on my lawyer flow. But let's bring it back to this case of Charles Allen Barnes. So you tell me that this man, Charles Allen Barnes, he sat there and he created a plan to kill somebody simply for being black, okay? And this is like not speculation. This is common knowledge because he admitted to it on a phone call, right? So we know that whatever beef he had with his neighbor was not just, oh, my neighbor's getting on my nerves. No, it was about the fact that the neighbor is black and he hates black people because he literally said, I don't care who steps out this house. I'm going to shoot whoever it is. I'm going to kill me a nigger, right? So he literally hatched a plan to carry out a hate crime and attempted to do so. He sat outside this woman's house waiting for somebody to come out of the house. So this raised the question, yeah, he didn't actually, get to go through with it for whatever reason. Maybe the authorities came beforehand or whatever. But do we really need to sit around and wait for this guy to, go through with this plan completely to be like, yeah, yada, 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 right? Now, my point in all this is to say this, okay? Yeah, he did not technically get to commit this hate crime, but he was actively trying to. He was in the middle of it when he was stopped. Like, he was in the middle of trying to commit it, right? So why does that not carry, more than 5 years? Like, what are you saying? You telling me that a white person or whoever can sit there and plan to kill me because I'm black and then actively try to carry it out, be sitting outside my house with a gun and be ready to shoot me as soon as I walk out of the house, and the maximum they gonna get is 5 years? Are you kidding me? Like, I'm so confused, right? And then it's wild because most hate crimes in the United States are committed against Black Americans, right? Yet we don't have a hate crime bill. The Asians got a hate crime bill and all this good stuff. We don't have a hate crime bill though. It's almost like this is all by design.